The alarm clock blared. Arjun reached over and hit snooze. It was Monday morning and a familiar feeling washed over him, dread. The thought of facing another week at work filled him with anxiety. He lay in bed willing himself to get up, but his body felt heavy, his mind already exhausted. Arjun wasn't lazy, he was just tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. The daily grind had worn him down. Work consumed his thoughts, his evenings, even his weekends. He was constantly plugged in, replying to emails late at night, unable to truly disconnect. He dragged himself out of bed and went through the motions of getting ready. His reflection in the mirror showed a stranger dark circles under his eyes, a forced smile. He barely recognized himself. Where was the ambitious, driven young man he used to be? Arjun knew something had to change. He couldn't keep living like this. This wasn't living, it was merely existing. He was drowning, but no one around him seemed to notice. Or maybe they did, but he was too afraid to ask for help. Days blurred into weeks and weeks into months. Arjun was living on autopilot. Work consumed him. He was constantly under pressure to perform, to meet deadlines, to exceed expectations. The workload was relentless, leaving him feeling drained and depleted. He had become withdrawn and isolated. Social events felt like an obligation, conversations felt forced. He was physically present but mentally checked out. He longed for connection, for genuine human interaction, but the energy to pursue it eluded him. He sought solace in unhealthy coping mechanisms. Late nights at the office turned into even later nights, fueled by endless cups of coffee and fast food. Exercise, once a source of joy and stress relief, fell by the wayside. Weekends were spent catching up on sleep, only to wake up feeling even more exhausted than before. Arjun knew he wasn't okay. He was irritable, anxious, and constantly on edge. His mind raced with thoughts he couldn't control. Sleep became elusive, haunted by nightmares about deadlines and work presentations. He felt like a failure, trapped in a cycle he couldn't break free from. It happened on a Tuesday, a day that would forever be etched in Arjun's memory. He was in the middle of a presentation, a crucial one that could make or break his career. As he stood there in front of his colleagues and superiors, the words caught in his throat. His heart pounded in his chest, his vision blurred, and a wave of nausea washed over him. He couldn't breathe. Panic seized him, paralyzing him in place. He stumbled over his words, his carefully crafted presentation crumbling before his eyes. The room seemed to spin, the faces around him a blur of concern and judgment. He mumbled an apology and fled the room, the sound of his own ragged breathing echoing in his ears. He locked himself in the bathroom stall, his body trembling uncontrollably. That was it. The breaking point. Arjun knew he couldn't ignore the warning signs any longer. His body and mind were screaming for help. He had pushed himself to the limit, and now he was paying the price. He picked up his phone and made a call that would change his life. The call was to a therapist. Arjun knew he needed help, professional help. He couldn't keep trying to navigate this alone. The therapist listened patiently as he poured out his heart, his voice trembling with a mix of shame and relief. For the first time in a long time, Arjun felt heard, truly heard. The therapist didn't judge him. She offered him support and understanding. She helped him understand that what he was experiencing was burnout, a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged exposure to overwhelming stress. She explained that burnout wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a sign that he had been strong for too long. She assured him that recovery was possible, but it would take time, effort, and a commitment to self-care. Arjun left the therapist's office that day feeling a glimmer of hope. He had taken the first step, the hardest step, towards healing. He knew the journey wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to get better, to reclaim his life. Section 5. Seeking professional help. Therapy became a lifeline for Arjun. It provided him with a safe space to explore his thoughts and feelings, to unpack the years of stress and anxiety that he had been carrying. His therapist helped him identify the root causes of his burnout, the unhealthy coping mechanisms he had developed, and the negative thought patterns that were keeping him trapped in a cycle of despair. She taught him valuable coping strategies, such as mindfulness techniques, deep breathing exercises, and the importance of setting boundaries. She encouraged him to prioritize self-care, to reconnect with activities that brought him joy, and to rebuild his support system. Arjun began to understand the importance of setting boundaries between work and his personal life. He started saying no to extra projects, leaving the office at a reasonable hour, and disconnecting from work emails and calls during his free time. He also realized that he had been neglecting his physical health. He started exercising regularly again, going for runs in the park and practicing yoga. He paid more attention to his diet, opting for nutritious meals instead of processed foods and sugary snacks. Section 6. Rediscovering Simple Joys. As he slowly started to heal, Arjun rediscovered the simple joys in life that he had forgotten. He started spending more time in nature, going for long walks in the park, and simply appreciating the beauty around him. He reconnected with old friends, people who knew him before the burnout, people who accepted him for who he was, flaws and all. He started pursuing hobbies he had abandoned, picking up his guitar again, and joining a local photography club. He learned to be kinder to himself, to silence the inner critic that had been berating him for so long. He practiced gratitude, focusing on the positive aspects of his life, no matter how small. He learned to forgive himself for his mistakes, to acknowledge that setbacks were a part of life, and that they didn't define him. Arjun's journey wasn't linear. There were good days and bad days. There were moments of doubt and frustration, times when he felt like giving up. But he persevered, drawing strength from his therapist, his friends, and his newfound commitment to self-care. Section 7. Finding Balance. Gradually, Arjun began to find a sense of balance in his life. He was still ambitious, still driven, but he had learned to prioritize his well-being. He set realistic expectations for himself, both at work and in his personal life. He no longer defined himself solely by his job title or his accomplishments. He had rediscovered his passions, his values, and his sense of purpose. He had learned that true success wasn't about working himself to the bone. It was about living a meaningful and fulfilling life, both inside and outside of work. He became an advocate for mental health awareness, sharing his story with others, in the hope that it would encourage them to seek help if they needed it. He knew that there was still a stigma attached to mental health issues, but he was determined to do his part to break down those barriers. Arjun's journey taught him that it was okay to not be okay, that it was okay to ask for help, and that recovery was possible. He had emerged from the darkness stronger, more resilient, and with a newfound appreciation for the fragility and preciousness of life. Section 8. The journey continues. Years later, Arjun still remembers the darkness he endured. The experience left an indelible mark on him, but it also shaped him into the person he is today. He still faces challenges, still experiences stress and anxiety, but now he has the tools and the self-awareness to navigate those challenges in a healthy way. He continues to prioritize his mental and physical health, knowing that self-care is not a luxury but a necessity. He makes time for activities that bring him joy, spends quality time with loved ones, and practices gratitude daily. Arjun's story is a reminder that burnout is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that we've been strong for too long. It's a reminder that it's okay to ask for help, to prioritize our well-being, and to give ourselves permission to rest and recharge. Life is a marathon, not a sprint, and we need to pace ourselves if we want to reach the finish line. We need to learn to listen to our bodies and minds, to recognize the warning signs of burnout, and to take action before it's too late. Section 9. A message of hope. If you are struggling with burnout, please know that you are not alone. Reach out for help, whether it's from a therapist, a trusted friend or family member, or a mental health professional. There is no shame in seeking support, and it could be the best decision you ever make. Remember that recovery is possible, but it takes time, effort, and a commitment to self-care. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. You are stronger than you think, and you deserve to live a life filled with joy, purpose, and well-being. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and never give up hope.